Hello, football fans. So the second week of the season is over and done with, and my goodness, it's this whole season. It's crazy. So let's start with the biggest and most insane shocker in all of this. The Jaguars are in first place. Yes, the Jacksonville Jaguars are actually in first place in the AFC South, and because of everything else that happened, they're the only team in the division that has a win. Yeah, they blasted the Colts. Poor Colts. It amazes me how the Jaguars just own them in the last couple seasons. I mean, they've only won. I think the Jaguars have only won 6 games. Counting this year, they've won I think it's 6 games in the last five. Actually, I think it's 5 games in the last 3 seasons, counting this one. But I think 3 of their 5 wins were against Indy. It baffles me. But yeah, they totally blasted the Colts 24-0. Remember, this was the first time these two teams met since that final week last year, where Carson Wentz shit the bed as he always does, and got the Colts eliminated. But at least Carson put up some points. They couldn't do it this past week. It was just crazy. So the Jaguars won, and Houston lost, which meant Jacksonville would be in first place no matter what happened to Tennessee against Buffalo. But Tennessee went to Buffalo and got destroyed. I couldn't believe it. I looked forward to the double dip, the Monday night double dip. It's a double dip, but not a double header, because the games are on separate networks and kind of conflicting with each other. But I was looking forward to it because I expected 2 good, competitive, close games. Instead, neither were really close. Now Minnesota getting blown out is nothing new. I mean, let's face it, there are only two things the Vikings are good at. Number one is choking when it counts, and number 2 is losing to teams that a real team would blow out. That's all Minnesota's good for. That and being Aaron Rodgers' bitch. But yeah, Philly just smacked them, but not as badly as Buffalo smacked Tennessee. I don't know what the hell's wrong with the Titans this year. I don't know what the hell. Well, yeah, I'm gonna say I don't know what the hell's wrong with Derrick Henry, because this is the first time he's had a slow start. He's had slow starts the last couple years, but he explodes. So I'm waiting for that explosion. Usually week 3 is when King Henry decides to put the crown on and just run through everybody. So if week 3 is quiet, then there might be a cause for concern for Derrick Henry, especially for fantasy owners, myself included, who haven't. But yeah. So but he did find the end zone, unlike poor Jonathan Taylor. I don't have him on fantasy, which is a shame. But anyway. Yeah, so it's crazy in that AFC South. Russell Wilson had his big home debut, and it was messy, but they won it. That's who beat Houston. We had some double-digit lead comebacks. Miami. Oh goodness. I seriously think Tua Tagovailoa. I'll get it. He needs to be respected as a quarterback. He really does. He's good. He was that good in college. He threw 6 touchdown passes. 6, including 4. This included 4 in the fourth quarter alone in that comeback when they outscored Baltimore 28-3. I'll get to that score a bit later. But yeah, he threw 6 touchdown passes, tying the Dolphins franchise record for touchdown passes in a single game, tying him with legends such as Bob Greasy and of course Dan Marino. When you're in that good company, you've done something right. Like Matt Flynn, he was the first Packers quarterback to throw 6 touchdowns in a game. Not Bart Starr, not Brett Favre, not Aaron Rodgers, but Matt Flynn. That was his great claim to fame. So So Baltimore blew that lead in a week where nobody in the AFC North won. Pittsburgh lost to the Patriots. That offense needs some retooling. The Browns, but the double-digit leads, they blew one. They lost to the Jets. They were up by 13 with 90 seconds left in regulation. 90 seconds. Actually, a little bit under 90 seconds. Jets scored, cut it to 6, and then they got the onside kick, scored again, and they intercepted Cleveland at the end. So, yeah. I can't believe it's amazing. Leave it to Cleveland. Leave it to Cleveland to lose to one of the biggest poverty franchises in the NFL. The Jets are a hot mess. Even worse, Joe Flacco was their quarterback. When Joe Flacco outdoes you, you really need some help. And I said this many times before, this is karma, because there were Browns fans before this game started out there loudly defending Deshaun Watson. What was the line they had? Happy endings are illegal. Oh boy. But anyway. So, and of course, who else? Let's see, who else blew double? Oh yeah, the Raiders blew double-digit lead against Arizona. Kyle Murray had to bail them out. Kyle Murray, the defense, the winning touchdown in overtime was off a fumble from Hunter Renfrow fumble. It was turned all the way. Very crazy ending. We nearly had a couple more blown leads. Dallas blew a 17-3 lead, but they ended up winning with a last-second field goal. And remember I mentioned 28-3. The Falcons were down by that score against the Rams, but they nearly pulled it off. And I watched this and going, it would really be something if the Falcons actually came back from 28-3, because that would get people shutting up about the Super Bowl, because that score has haunted Atlanta ever since then. Even though that city has won a World Series since then, 28-3 still looms over their head. And they were down 28-3, and they came this close to coming back for it against the Rams of all teams. I was kind of pulling for it, but I had to pull it off, but they were close with no cigar. So the Rams got their first win after getting blown out at home by Buffalo to start the 2022 season overall. Jimmy G's back, but not in the way a lot of fans, myself included, wanted. So Trey Lance got injured in that game early. Broken ankle. Bad injury. Had to be carted off. And the news broke later that day that he will be out for undergo season-ending surgery. So he's done. He's done for the year. So Jimmy came back, led the team to win, led the Niners to victory. You know, I think I said this before. The Niners really should be ashamed of themselves. They really should. They rushed Lance. That's why he got injured. Lance was not ready to take over that helm yet, but they were so disrespectful to Jimmy G that they just rushed Lance out there. They were going to do whatever they want. Look what happened. The poor kid got hurt. His season is over like that. Barely what, a quarter into the second game, his season's over, and they had to put Jimmy out there. And remember, Jimmy himself has injury problems. If he gets hurt, that team's screwed. I think I remember reading Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback, was actually the emergency quarterback. And I think he's actually joked, don't make me play quarterback or something like that. But yeah, so the Niners. They rushed Trey Lance because they were so disrespectful to Jimmy, and now they have to use him because their bias against the quarterback that made him great got Lance injured. It's true. That's what happened. So yeah. So like I said, a lot of things changed in week 2, but one thing stayed the same. Aaron Rodgers still owns the Bears. That is never gonna change. I mean, Aaron didn't really have to do much. Well, Aaron Rodgers did. Aaron Jones did quite a bit. That's what we saw. We saw Aaron Rodgers do what he does. Aaron Jones ran through the defense, and the Bears' offense suffered from a comedy of errors. I do mean comedy. I found myself laughing at dumb shit they did. I said before, we had a bye this past week. We played the Bears. Playing the Bears is the same as a bye. And that was practice for week 3. Because we faced Brady in week 3. And Brady was practicing too. He finally got past the Saints in regular season. The 5th time was the charm. He finally beat the Saints in regular season. But it came at a bit of a price. That scuffle that happened. He lost his top receiver because of it. Mike Evans got suspended for the game against the Packers. So it's going to be quite interesting. So that's week 2. And yes, week 2 actually started with the Chargers and Chiefs. The Chiefs won that game, escaping from an early deficit in what was the first game of the Amazon Prime era, which will last up until the end of the 2033 season. So buckle up. So week 3 will start with the Browns and Steelers face each other. A lot of other key games. The big one being Bucks and Packers. Rodgers versus Brady. It's always going to be epic. The Rams coming off their first win face the Arizona Cardinals, who are coming off their big overtime win. Cincinnati's off to a shaky start at 0-2, but they're facing the Jets, so that's going to be over. So now that's going to be over. They'll get their first win because that comes with playing the Jets. Jimmy Garoppolo's on Sunday Night Football this week against the Denver Broncos, which is in Mile High. And Monday Night Football is an NFC East battle. I mean, you got to love those NFC East games. The Cowboys, the Giants at MetLife Stadium. How about the Giants? They beat the Panthers, and they're 2-0 to start the season. First time since 2016, which was the last time they made the playoffs. So, yeah, it looks like good things are happening for the Giants. It's amazing what's happened. It's amazing what has happened. Like I said, Jaguars are leading the AFC South. Okay. There are 7 winless teams. There are 7 winless teams left in the league. 2 of them, of course, but 5 of them are 0-2. Of course, the Texans and Colts are 0-1-1, so they actually have a win percentage. But there are 5 0-2 teams. Of the 5, Cincinnati, who went to the Super Bowl, Tennessee, who was the number 1 seed in the conference last year, and the Raiders, who were heavily expected to make some noise and probably win the loaded AFC West. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Aaron Rodgers has a win this season, but Davante Adams doesn't. So I've gone over some of what we can look forward to seeing in week 3. That's a recap of week 2. If you like this video, click the like button. Click subscribe if you want more. My story on Vocal recapping week 2 of this of this season will be in the description below. So check it out when you can. It's a good piece, and I'll be back. I'll be back on YouTube this Sunday to get you baseball fans ready for the final. I think it's gonna be let me count my calendar to 5. Yeah, it'll be the final 10 days of baseball's regular season. So I'll get you ready for that this upcoming Sunday. So stay tuned.